we have a strong connection with nature. My father always taught me that you do the right thing because it is the right thing, not because it is convenient.
Dzień dobry Państwu, witamy widzów z kanału SpożywczaTV, portali Hurdi Detal, wiadomościspozywcze.pl oraz agronomist.pl. To jest program Gabinet Spożywczy. Naszym i Państwa gościem dzisiaj jest pan Dilhan Fernando, CEO of Dilmah. Good afternoon.
Pleasure to be here. Good afternoon.
Program poprowadzą Paweł Pańczyk i Michał Siwek.
Dzień dobry.
Let's move on. Let's switch to English. Dilmah is often described as a brand that brings more to the tea category than just another product on the shelf. How exactly do you help retailers and category managers build shopping basket value through premiumization?
Well, I think that's very simple. In a category that is dominated by companies that are trading, buying and selling, we are a grower. So we have a very different perspective. Our perspective, for example, on innovation is of authenticity. Our innovation begins with rainfall and sunshine. It begins with what is authentic. And right now, that authenticity, the consciousness, the wellness that comes from the grower's perspective, these are all connecting perfectly with the customer's preferences. So I think that is the innovation and the value addition we can offer, because particularly in the tea category, there has been a lot of value reduction, a lot of growth driven by discounts. But I think in partnership with certain retailers who see the importance of building value into the category rather than extracting value, we are beginning to show how we can reverse that.
In a world of products that often not only pretend to be high quality, Dilmah focuses on integrity, as you said. What sales arguments do you use to convince business partners that it's worth investing in an authentic product rather than engaging in a price war?
That's a tough one, and I can tell you it's a challenge my son and we have every day, but quite simply, the argument is based on what a new generation of potential tea drinker is telling us. You have a generation of Gen Z, so-called, which we all feared before they came into the category. But in fact, they are driving authenticity, they are driving flavor discovery, they are driving consciousness. They want to know, what are you doing for gender equality? What are you doing for climate action? What are you doing for your workers? And fortunately, as a family business founded by my father on family values, we have the positive answer to each of these. Now, that's integrity. It is not compromising either your product or your process, and definitely not compromising the interests of your customer. And that is giving taste, goodness, and with the promise of kindness. So when I talk to many of our retail partners, often I present it in the form that to build value back into the category, we need, of course, you need a mass market option. We are not that. But you do also need a premium option, because it is that will connect with the new tea drinker who in many cases is bypassing retail and bypassing conventional retail and looking to online, looking to specialty stores and so on. So that is a result of decades of commoditization of the tea category. And we can see what good it did for wine, and we see what good it's doing for coffee. So in the same way, that premiumization in tea is especially important because it connects to the welfare of workers, to safety, to trust, to the product quality, and ultimately to the satisfaction of the customers. And that's what's going to rebuild value in the category.
Let's follow up a little bit, but from different perspective, from the customer perspective, because we observe on the market that there is growing group of conscious consumers who somehow reject the hype, let's call it hype, and are ready to pay more for as you said, added value within the product. How Dilmah's strategy address such a customers?
Well, it's quite simple there. It's about integrity. My father always taught me that you do the right thing because it is the right thing, not because it is convenient, not because it is profitable, and definitely not because it is expedient. And so for us, to connect with this consumer, we didn't have to do much because this consumer is very wary. If you suddenly change your credentials and say, suddenly, look, this morning I woke up and today I'm sustainable, that is the biggest no for this customer, and you lose credibility. But because credibility, this kind of integrity is in our roots, because my father built our business on kindness to people, nature, and of course, ultimately to our customer. And kindness to our customer means respecting the soils, protecting biodiversity, and all of this, because this is what our customer values. But it also means safety for the product. We have 3 laboratories that examine every product in our business. And what that delivers is trust, because a customer knows these people, my name, for example, is on the pack. My brother is Malik, I'm Dilhan. My father put our names together, Dilmah. This is a responsibility, but also for our customers. And why I came to Warsaw to see our partners and to work with our customers is to show that we stand behind the product. So we are not a faceless brand. We stand with the product. And yesterday, International Tea Day, we presented, this is what we do. Have a look. We invite our customers to come and visit us and to see what we do because it is genuine, it is real, and it is impactful. That's what the conscious customer wants to know, because they're very concerned about greenwashing, whitewashing, and they want real stories. And they have the power in their palm with their phones to learn what is real and what is not. And this, I think, is the difference.
You stand by the product and you prove it by launching innovations on the market, such as Dilmah Craft Iced Tea, for example, which is designed to redefine the ready-to-drink category. What business benefits does the launch of this line offer retailers, and how it is intended to attract those younger, so this Gen Z generation?
For many years, iced tea was a category that was driven by price, and which meant that the category was driven by flavors, relatively little tea content. In our case, because we are tea growers, our perspective on innovation has to be genuine. 15 years ago, my father built the MJF beverage factory in the middle of a tea garden. We used tea leaves, freshly handpicked. Within 48 hours, we extracted it and converted it into the basis for our craft iced teas. For many years, we couldn't sell because the market was so commoditized. So we didn't compromise. We kept the factory closed for almost 15 years. But then we relaunched it, initially amongst bartenders. People like Tomek Mawek is the ambassador for some of these products. And we talked of quality, premium, authentic, ethical, conscious iced tea. And that is where the difference has been. So what we offer the retailer is the possibility to drive value back, because what you can claim with this product, it's grown, handmade, handpicked in Sri Lanka on our tea garden. It's Rilhena Tea Estate. You want to have a look, you're very welcome. And it's something genuine. And I have many people who actually visit for the experience. They visit, they see the tea we grow, the cinnamon we grow, and they understand if they go onto the internet, they can see these places, they can see the traceability behind this product. So again, it's about integrity. It's about the people behind the product, and that is what produces the trust for the consumer, but it translates to value for the retailer.
I would like to deep dive a little bit, but from the buyer's perspective, safety and consistencies are crucial. And how does having full control over the, let's call it farm to cup process, including in-house printing and packaging facilities, translate into real competitive advantage over brands that simply purchase tea on the auctions?
Well, it means that we are accountable. It means that our responsibility to the conscious consumer, it begins with the decisions we make about soils, about biodiversity. It connects to our research and development. I'll give you an example of things we're doing right now, where Dilmah Conservation is working with scientists to understand how bats can help us to reduce fungus when you have mist on some of our tea gardens. In the past, in the 1800s, that rust fungus destroyed our coffee industry because before tea, Sri Lanka was known for Ceylon coffee. But today, you have an option. Do you spray copper? Of course, it's safe, but still for us, anything that is synthetic, we consider it to be something that is better to be avoided. If we can use bats, as we now do in more and more estates, if we can use biochar, which is an ancient Aztec technology which produces extraordinary tea, which gives us climate resilience, if we can connect it with using, with digging water holes and using amphibians, frogs, to keep our root systems clean, you have in nature a beautiful solution. We have some estates, Dunkeld Estate, 52% of the estate extent is under forestry. Why? We have leopard, we have birds. The birds help us to control pests. The leopard, well, leopard is there for a different reason. It's a symbolic animal for Sri Lanka, and we believe in promoting biodiversity because they're all part of an important ecosystem. So I think that, I hope that answers the question, but I think that sincere commitment to sustainability is very important.
And how did you recognize those special traits of the bats? Are those informations written somewhere on ancient books, or?
Well, we have in the Sri Lankan culture, we have a strong connection with nature. It goes back to the time of our kings. So it goes back to the 3rd century before Christ. So if you look at that, in fact, we have an ancient culture, civilization, and our kings always believed in the purity of water, they understood the importance of watershed, of forestry, and so on. So much of this is part of our culture. We also have a Ayurveda, system of holistic healing that understands the holistic approach to ecosystems, to health and wellness. So all of these combined, we understand the importance of nature, because if you really consider what makes a breakfast tea, it's not the tea maker, it's sunshine, it's humidity, it's the wind conditions, it's the light afternoon showers. But then if it's cold, if it's 20 degrees or less in the daytime, it's a softer, lighter, brighter tea. If it's warmer, more humidity, more intensity, hot sunshine, it becomes a stronger, darker tea, maybe suitable for Earl Grey and so on. So when you are a tea grower, this is our perspective, that it is nature that crafts tea. It is nature that gives tea its flavor. It's nature that gives our Ceylon cinnamon its unique health benefits. And so you learn to understand and respect the influence of nature in the product rather than shun it, because the alternative, and it's a lot cheaper, is for us to forget about nature and just grow tea and add something into it. People say it's the juice of the tea leaves, whatever you say, it's flavor. If you make good tea, which is the hardest part in this environment, if you make good tea, you do it in the artisanal way, then you're able to say, look, I don't need anything. It's pure, it's clean, and it's the finest, and I stand by it. It has my name on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As you mentioned, black tea, you're redefining it as a functional beverage that supports well-being, very highly seen trend also in Poland. How can retail partners leverage this trend to increase black tea sales?
It's only one word, it's quality. What happened over the years? Black tea, even today, globally, occupies approximately 60% of the total tea category. But if you go back 20 years, many of the brands that are usually trading brands that are buying and selling felt that black tea, particularly black tea from Ceylon, is too expensive. So of course, when you look at profit maximization, you look for new things, innovations, but innovations to maximize profit. So in this context, the tea category globally went in the direction of herb infusions, and it focused on a fringe that took a lot of shelf space and so on, but didn't deliver anything different to the customer in terms of the core black tea. We are growers of green tea, oolong, and black tea. We grow real tea. And when you talk of the health benefits in tea, there are 22,000 research papers on PubMed, peer-reviewed independent science. They're all about Camellia sinensis, real tea. It's not about the infusions and so on. So you had this long tail developing. So if you look at it from a retail perspective, you take out a black tea and you say, oh, there's this very cool new linden with this, dandelions and this and so on. It's a niche. Of course, this product has a place, but it's a niche and it takes shelf space. But ultimately, the tea category, I speak globally, I'm not speaking only for Poland, but tea category became extremely inefficient. But what we say is, look at what tea itself has to offer. The tea that you grow on the top of the mountain, light, bright, it's a tea that connects wonderfully with codfish, with miso. You have a tea that we grow on Nilagama estate with intensity, heat, that has a beautiful way of bringing up your Vedal chocolates or your beautiful bitter chocolates or whatever it is. And then you have a tea that will connect with meats, with steaks and so on, which will bring out the cherries in the pierogi. You can create theater with tea. And this connected to quality is what will give the consumer the pleasure that will bring them back into supermarkets and get them to respect the tea category, because for so many years it became commoditized. So they began to look elsewhere. Now, when we have independent stores, our tea lounges and so on, the specialty tea sales are off the charts because people say, okay, I trust this place because these guys are passionate about tea. But they feel differently when they walk into a supermarket. They feel it's driven by discounts and so on. Of course, there is a space for this, but there is also a necessity to focus on a quality, a strong gourmet segment.
Dilmah has been building relationship in Poland in last 35 years already, and you have been collaborating with local experts and chefs. How does this long-standing experience influence your current strategy to support both modern and traditional retail in Poland?
Our relationship in Poland is with the Witomski family, and for over 3 generations, we continue to partner with them. So you have the most important element there. You have trust, and you have the second most, which you have integrity, and you have the third, which is alignment. And so in that sense, we have looked at the Polish market with a broad understanding that we must evolve. So originally it was Tomasz Witomski, current CEO Piotr's father. And Thomas started by bringing a container load of tea and keeping it in a little apartment that he had on Marimonska. So every great business is built on commitment. Now that is commitment. My father started with $50 and an impossible dream. So that too, when you combine the commitment of these two families, the next thing you need is a product that we are passionate about, that does good, and both to the consumer and to people and nature, and that makes sure that it connects with the people. So working with chefs like Jarek Oshiński, we have worked with Tomek Małek, the bartender, has given us an understanding of the taste, the possibilities for genuine innovation. So when you do a cocktail, we have no objection. People say that, oh, maybe you don't want to put milk or you don't want to put alcohol into your tea. No, it's far from it. All we ask is respect our tea, because when you respect our tea, you respect the artisan, you respect the nature, you respect all of this combination of influences that have gone into making your product. And the new generation understands this. I see in Poland an emerging generation of young people who understand the importance of nature, who treasure all of this. So their definition of taste has evolved. When I first came with my father, I had just joined, I was straight out of university in London. I came here, it was 1990, and the perception was very different. Everybody, I wanted granulated tea. Everybody said granulated tea. My father said, no, we don't do granulated tea.
Wrong address.
We do the traditional, we do traditional tea. And so we did the opposite. But then working with taste makers like Jarek and Tomek, we have the possibility to present new ideas. We work, for example, with Deseo, which is a wonderful dessert company, to present that understanding of emulsifying, how a tea elevates beautiful desserts and how a tea helps you to digest, enhances the gut microbiome and so on. So working with experts, firstly, the integrity of our partnership in Poland. Secondly, working with these tastemakers is absolutely critical to helping us to understand the consumer.
And how do you manage to combine high profitability for distributors with the fact that at least 15% of your company's gross profit is reinvested in social and environmental causes through the MJF Charity Foundation and Dilmah Conservation?
I have to tell you quite simply, this is not an answer that you're going to like, but we don't.
No.
We don't manage. But the reason is this. For us, our profit and our definition of success is not in the conventional way. Last year, I have to tell you, we made less than 5% net profit in the company. Actually, it was more like 2%. And when an investor or somebody looks at it from the outside, they say, look, what is this? Close your business and go home. But the fact is, we helped 650,000 people, children, mothers, disabled people. Our schools taught, we graduated chefs, we restored ecosystems. We did a phenomenal amount of work. And the important thing, we didn't compromise. So many of our customers in other countries kept telling us, give us 50% discount, go and pack somewhere else, why are you always talking about pure origin and garden fresh and quality and taste and goodness? We do that because of the question you asked at the beginning. It's about integrity. So we didn't compromise in the toughest year, and so we suffered as a result. 2% margin, it's nothing to be proud of. But the fact is that we see the integrity as a part of our resilience. We see all of these aspects. When you talk of the foundation, every day over 6,000 children come into our schools to be educated for free. We have 200, 300 chefs who have graduated from our free schools. Some were substance abuse kids, some were Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, all of these, and enabled, empowered. They stand in their chef whites at graduation. This is fulfillment. It's not money, but it is fulfillment. And I believe that this is our passion, and I believe that it is also something that our customer understands. So, short answer, no, we can't deliver high profit. If in this current market, if you abdicate quality, I can deliver it tomorrow. I can triple our profit and double our sales tomorrow if I give 50% discount. But neither does the Witomski family, I hope, nor do my family ever want to compromise. And we had this argument in Australia many years ago. We went to the media and we said, look, we would rather leave than compromise. And this is our position. But our time will come.
How can innovation such as tea mixology or tea rave concept help retailers create a more engaging offer?
It's about experience. Mm-hmm. Everything is about experience. And I think today a customer doesn't want a new product. They want to know, how does that product connect with their lifestyle? And if you really look at the lifestyles today, recently I saw in Australia, we are involved with a group. They had 3,000 young people at dawn. It's called daybreak. They were dancing, they of course exercise dancing on the beach in Sydney. They were drinking tea. It was sparkling tea, it was a craft iced tea, it was this product. And nobody was drinking alcohol. And they weren't even, the bars didn't even offer alcohol. The bars were totally tea. And so the point is that the lifestyles have changed. So when you talk about mixology, it could be mixing honey from a particular beehive in Łódź to produce a tea that elevates osypek, that my favorite cheese, so I have to always mention it. But you have these combinations. So that would connect with the consumers, for a retailer, would connect with the consumer's preference. Ultimately, the question is, look, you can have the best tea in the world, but so what? What does it mean to me? This is how that's what Tomek Małek does to help us, and that's what Jarek Uszyński does with tea gastronomy and helping us.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would like to ask about your plans over the next 5 years. You plan to double sales over those years. And what are the 3 most important arguments that should convince the FMCG decision makers? We've already said those arguments, but what would make them feel that Dilmah is the most forward-thinking business partner in the tea category?
Well, the first is our starting position is we will not compromise. At the beginning of this month, on the 6th of May, was the anniversary of my father's birthday. If he was alive, he would be 96 this month. On that day, we made a fresh declaration of our vision and mission. And we reaffirmed even more strongly to our founding values of pure origin, of freshness, of quality and goodness and so on. This is the foundation. Then, without compromising in any aspect, the next aspect is how do we connect with our consumer? It's about creating experiences. How does tea work around music? How does tea in craft ice, but the craft ice is now evolving in different areas. If you really consider what tea really is, it was first discovered as a medicine. And that's when Emperor Shennong discovered it. It's a medicine. And if you look at PubMed, 22,000 plus research papers that talk about tea and how it protects from cancers, protects from osteoporosis, cleanse the lungs of the effects of free radicals of smoking, and cleans the arteries through capillary function, protecting from heart disease, from stroke, and so many other things, dementia, etc. So, and tea is also the ultimate adaptogen. So a lot of people have not looked at tea in this race for commoditization and discount. So a lot of the things that people looked to, these fancy herbs and all of this, it's already present in tea. There's, you see cool trends. Oh, I'm looking for adaptogenic products to help you to adapt to ambient stresses. Tea is the ultimate adaptogen. And so focusing on creating experiences, but building upon wellness. So I guess what we'll be doing there is looking more to the trend, which is more for chilled beverages, so like craft iced tea, but looking at functional chilled beverages. Science evidences that gut health is the most important for mental and physiological general health. Well, tea enhances digestion. It has a powerful impact on the gut microbiome. So we already have in the core black, green, and oolong tea, you have a very powerful ingredient to build an innovative nutraceutical, cosmeceutical, beverage, and tea proposition. And I think that would be my answer.
Thank you.
When we met last time, a couple of months ago, we spent a lot of time on discussing your efforts towards sustainable transition. And you already mentioned some particular implementation at your company. And what's worth to emphasize, you are the finalist of the Reuters Global Sustainability Award 2025, and also you are rated by EcoVadis. So how are you progressing with the particular concrete implementation of principles of sustainable transition?
This was, of course, an honor, this Reuters Global Sustainability Award, but our sustainability journey began in 2007. It's not about awards. Of course, the awards are lovely to have, and it gives us validation in the public domain. But on our journey along SBTI, what we are trying to do is we are trying to inset as much as possible. So we've built mini hydro capability on our tea gardens. We've recently changed most of the vehicles in our business because EV is very important, and energy is a critical contributor. Once you map your carbon footprint, it's fairly easy to see what you need to do. So we are taking our core operations off-grid to a BESS system, to a battery-based solar storage system. But so there's a multitude of all of these. But I think ultimately, for a business to be truly sustainable, of course, you have packaging and all this. It's not about this technical thing, but you need to have a mindset of sustainability. You need to see what are the interactions you have with people and nature. How can you internalize them? Because typically today, everybody is under pressure for cost. Bring your COGS down, bring our cost of goods down. Constantly, this is the refrain. This is what we hear. But in doing so, if you compromise some other livelihood or soil or some element in biodiversity, this is not a sustainable way of doing business. And so for us, we believe that strengthening our supply chain, helping the members in our supply chain, that is a powerful way of building resilience, making sure that we do right by the people, by the customer, by biodiversity, nature, water, etc. This is an even more powerful way. So if you do the right thing by people and nature, if you make sure that you deliver the best quality to your customer and make sure that they benefit from it, then you have the ultimate form of resilience. We're going to go into volatility and chaos. I know some of my friends say, oh, when is all this going to end? When are we going to have some peace to get on with our lives? We're not going to have peace. We're not going to have it. It's been going on for years. And, today it's one thing, tomorrow it's another. And so I think we need to focus on building resilience. And resilience is about the integrity of your organization, the integrity of your process. And for us, we believe that it's also very much about kindness.
That was our last questions. We appreciate so much you shared with us your genius story. At least personally, I'm impressed. So thank you once again for being with us. Szanowni Państwo, dziękujemy uprzejmie. Naszym i Państwa gościem był dzisiaj Dilhan Fernando, CEO Dilmah. Dziękujemy uprzejmie, a rozmowę poprowadzili Paweł Pańczyk i Michał Siwek. Uprzejmie dziękujemy, do zobaczenia.